So it's good to see everybody. I am thankful that you came back and that we have this time to do this. Last week I was on the retreat, which was really a lot of like working and thinking, but just not like scheduling my day, and had a lot of good ability to step back, which I think is always a good thing to do as humans, but also in terms of communication, like what it is that we're saying, when we're saying it, how it's all kind of like flowing together. Sometimes you just need to stop, to step back. So that's what I did. And I'm not sure that I had any like epiphanies on what I'm going to be doing the next 18 months. But I did really, I was able to touch back into kind of purpose driven, the purpose behind the work and what's going to make it kind of long lasting. All right. Seeing people coming in. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Grace. All right. Somebody's noisy. Chris, is that you? I'm going to mute you because you might be making art and making noise. Oh, Chris, we get to see Chris actually working on a giant project. So anytime you wonder what Chris does, this is her doing it. All right, well, welcome everybody. I hope everybody had a good week last week and had some points of reflection. I think as there was like multiple kind of things going on and holidays and people talking about holidays and what they mean. I think we're all kind of like in a national reflection mode and also personal reflection. So that's what led me to this week's theme, which was the idea of gratitude. So gratitude is something we hear a lot about. We've been in our culture, I think we've been talking about it on a personal level for a while. We've been utilizing it as a moment to like make sense of things and not be so overwhelmed, I think, by like the heaviness of the world, is to like turn to gratitude. And if you're a person of faith, or if you have any kind of like belief in human beings, which I think most of us on this call do, we are called to like take some time to like be thankful for what we have and know that we still have work to do. So I think that gratitude as a personal practice is something that people have been talking about a lot. And I wanted to, and it came up this week as one of our core values at Social Impact. It was our core value of the week, expressing gratitude. And it made me think about the ways that we do that. And I thought that would be an interesting topic for us to all have a conversation about, and to brainstorm some more creative ways and meaningful ways to express gratitude. So I'm not going to talk, I don't have like a big, like, best practices like I often do. I do want to remind us of some things. I'll share my screen in a second. But I think it's really, what I was thinking was the difference between saying thank you and expressing gratitude. And thank you is something I think that we all do and we try to do. Sometimes we're busy and we're like running a million miles an hour and trying to get to the next thing. Like that's a big thing at Social Impact Studios. We forget to like stop and celebrate what we did before we're on to the next thing, and thank each other and thank our team and thank the people we're working with. And saying thank you feels like a really good like basic practice of gratitude. But when I think of the word gratitude, thank you doesn't quite fully do it for me. And so the reason I want to share my screen, the reason I think that is because I'm just going to pull up. Hang on a minute. Just a reminder, and I think most people have been exposed to the Public Image Works method here at Social Impact, but just for those of you who haven't, just a really simple overview is that we often speak in terms of branding and marketing when it comes to what I would call our public image. And we think of it as either a siloed activity of communications or branding and marketing, as if it's something that you do to package to like toward an end. Like you're promoting something, or you're trying to get more donations, or you have a new strategic plan and you want to like make sure everybody understands or is made aware of you. And you know, our culture in America and many other places, but in America is very market driven. So we're constantly toggling between like democracy and the market. And we tend to, because of like resources being perceived of as like only in the form of money often, or value being like money oriented, we tend to be using the language of like the consumer culture. And for those of us that are like on the extreme end of a political spectrum, the language of like questionable, like capitalistic language. And that's where the idea of like branding and marketing is not enough. And so the public image works really reminds us that your public image and what you do to like put something out there and like be in the world with your mission is actually four things. It's how clear you are about your action plan. It's your authentic identity rather than a brand, which is like literally the word brand means to burn, and it's like a burned mark on property. That's where the word brand comes from. So like I don't think that's what you're doing. I think you're expressing an identity that's coming from a vision and a place of like real mission, like you have something you're trying to do there. The third component is vibrant promotion. So that's push out. That's like telling your story. That's getting people excited about things. That's like shouting it from the rooftops what you do, in hopes that people will, the people who want that will find it and will participate in it. But the fourth part is really the part that often we move quickly back into vibrant promotion without meaningful engagement. And meaningful engagement sounds difficult when it's from an organizational standpoint. So if you've got thousands of people on an email list, it's hard to think of like meaningful engagement in those middle areas. I think folks that are in nonprofit and arts fields that are funded, independent artists that are reliant on galleries or patrons to survive, we often think in terms of like this small group of people that we have to be meaningful engaged with, i.e. the funders or the people who like provide the resources, that's a small group, and that there's everybody else, which is just like a big pool of you know, emails essentially in today's world. And so when I thought of gratitude, I thought, well, how certainly it'd be great for us to discuss how people express gratitude for that small, I'm going to call them the 1%, because it's kind of representative of how we think of like not just power, but like how things get done, that the people who are funding it are somehow like the focus of our engagement. But the real thing that keeps things going are participants and people who are meaningful engaged, at every level. Every member of a community has some sort of form of power that they're contributing. So meaningful engagement is not just about making sure that we're emailing, but what else are we doing? And then how can gratitude be a twofer? Like how can we be expressing gratitude at the same time that we're actually deepening engagement with something? I find that to be a really like beautiful and more like comfortable way to connect with people, is to flip the thinking from me having to like explain what I am to and reinforce what I am and what I'm doing, to flip that thinking to be like, wow, I'm really appreciative that I'm in on the path with you, whatever that is. And I think the number one thing that I think when I think that way, the number one thing that comes up is always what comes up for me is think like the audience. So it's about compassion and it's about empathy and it's about actually acknowledging the unique quality that those people bring to the table, not what they bring. And Kat and I had a long conversation about bringing something to the table. And when somebody asks you what you bring, like we willingly bring things to the table. When somebody asks you what you're bringing to the table, they're not actually like acknowledging you and what you are doing. They're trying to see what you do that fits into them. So those are some thoughts I had about just engagement and meaningful engagement, and how gratitude, expressing gratitude, may be an easier way to connect than it is to try to promote as a form of engagement, or to like push out as a form of engagement. So let's just open it up, because I'd love to hear how people think of gratitude, what kinds of things they do to express gratitude to their for deep engagement. And I just wanted to acknowledge and express gratitude for everybody here for showing up and also being part of the good energy that this community brings to our work. You know, I'm hosting these because I see a need for us to all get together, but I also need this kind of energy back, because I am engaged in I'm a social impact person. And during these times, we've been very isolated. So I'm very grateful that each one of you brings a completely different perspective and challenge to ideas and support for each other. And I wanted to acknowledge a couple of new folks here. So Paul already introduced himself, from Pushcart Players, and Jean Finley is here. Thanks, Jean. I'm so glad that you joined us. And Jean is the administrator director of the Agile Learning Center in Philadelphia, which is a school that a bunch of us folks started to provide a self-directed learning opportunity for kids in Philly. So, all right. So when you speak, and Lenny, I saw that you raised your hand. Go for it. Just make sure that you introduce yourself and where you are and what you do, just so the new folks here and others can be reminded.
Hi, I'm Lenny Uddybeck-Fortson, and I wear many hats. During the day, I work for the U.S. Labor Department as the Regional Director of Public Affairs, but I'm also an educator at local colleges and universities, and in the process of building capacity for a new enterprise. And so what I was thinking as you were talking about the difference between thank yous and gratitude, that gratitude seems a lot broader than a thank you. It's to me, it's a celebration of that person or those persons. And one of my projects that I have is called Noteworthy by Lenny, which is a handcrafted note card business or line. And I mean, I think right now it feels counterintuitive for people to write notes and send them to folks because everybody is into expediency and shooting off an email, and while that's fine, I think when individuals take a few more moments to write something out and then physically put it in the mail, so that the person on the other end has this incredible experience of opening the note. I think that again offers a sense of it's a celebration, sort of one person at a time, one person that you are celebrating at a time. And I also think that in terms of personal identity, this is a way of differentiating, yourself or yourselves from the crowd. And also, because again, most people will just think of shooting a text or shooting an email off as opposed to writing. And so I'm hoping that folks will will consider note writing as a means of showing gratitude and celebrating someone else, because I'm always surprised when I get a note. I know I'm a note writer, have been for years, but even when I think the idea was a lot more popular or commonplace, but now even more so. And so I think when folks receive something in the mail, it probably will catch them off guard, and then that opens them up to appreciation in a whole new and different way.
I love that. Could you just share your legacy story about is it your grandfather or your great grandfather?
You mean in the picture?
The postal.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I found out not too long ago that my great grandfather was actually the first postal, whatever the title is, in Valdosta, Georgia, the first African American
Mailman.
No, I think he was more than just a mailman. I think he was overseeing the
like the postmaster general, postmaster. Yeah. And I just love that, because I think it's like you're almost like doing a legacy gratitude also by like carrying forward this like vehicle from your heritage, which is like so cool.
Well, and when you were saying legacy, I also was thinking about my mother, who was definitely a note writer, and definitely inspired the line of note cards, because she wrote notes constantly just to say, just because she was thinking about somebody. And I have many of those notes to this day. My mother died in 1996, but whenever I want to spend some time with her, I just take out the notes that she wrote me, the cards that she wrote me, and it brings me to a connection with her once again.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
I recently had the experience of having sat down over a weekend and handwritten a whole bunch of letters and thank yous to people. And so Monday morning, I was feeling so proud of myself, and marched right out to the mailbox at 9 a.m. and put the letters in. And then at 10 a.m., I was walking back through my house and happened to look out and watched as some guys stole my mail. And it was heartbreaking, all those hours of work. And it took me about a month to get up the energy to go back and do it all again. And I didn't do it all in one sitting as I had done on that Sunday afternoon. But boy, I really had to just like feel into all of those feelings of having my work feeling lost, but then like what it was that I really wanted to express to those people, how I was trying to connect with them. And it made it even more precious and precarious, that connection. And I'm really glad that I did it a second time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of fits in with some things we were talking about before of like, I don't remember which session it was, but when we don't hear back from people, we don't know if our communication is getting through. Gratitude is even more, like you said, precarious in that way, is like the reason we're supposed to be doing it is not to be validated that we're doing it. Yeah. But often, especially organizationally, we're doing it in some sort of like relationship, right? So that's a really interesting like moment of the universe being like, yep, you gotta do it for the right reasons. Yeah. So interesting.
Are we raising hands?
You can just talk. Right. No, you can just talk.
All right. Hey, again, I'm Paul Wheelahan. I'm the artistic director at Pushcart Players. And I really love what has been said already about note writing. We, excuse me, we recently started with our individual contributors, sending them videos, sending them thank you videos, which was something I thought would be an interesting idea well before COVID hit. And actually our fundraising platform has made that. It's Network for Good. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. But I was able to send thank you videos to a lot of people who I've actually never met, but a lot that I did know and that knew me. And I never got a thank you for a thank you. For the letters that I would take time to handwrite, because I think it matters to show. That speaks to the very the basic difference in my mind between a thank you and gratitude. Thank you is an expression of a feeling. Gratitude is putting it into action. And so even the simple things like writing those notes, and now in my case making these videos, people get back to me, and we start a dialogue, be it mostly by email. One person sent me back a video, trying to kind of one up me on and it just got that personal connection to them, which was gratifying for me.
Yeah.
And I know that that's not really what we're talking about, but
no, it is. It's all part of it. Now, were these personalized videos?
Yes. Yeah. They, and depending on who they were, if I knew them, I would speak as though I were speaking to them. But it's always, saying their name and thank you for this, thank you for what you did, what it meant to me personally, but also to our organization. And you're able to sincerely say, I hope you're doing well. A lot of times those words have so much different impact now. It's like, I hope you're doing well. We really mean it now. It has a different weight. And it adds humor. And even though it's video, it is in fact the way most of us are communicating now. I mean, here we are on this, on this meeting, and and the thank you videos look very much like this. Sometimes with this background, or if I'm in the office, I can show them, certain things of how they're making a difference and what's really going on.
You just supported this. Yeah. That's
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And I do think, I think that it is a form that we're all using now, but I do think that it also is, you are a performance organization. And so you finding a creative way to deliver, information through some sort of like direct human as we can get, I think that really fits your mission, and and also your vibe, like you're scrappy, like you guys you're like, okay, even your name, it's just like, we're gonna be there, we're gonna figure it out.
Right.
It fits.
Yeah, thanks. No, it's
cool. How long are they?
Usually under a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Unless like you're a college buddy who's now a contributor, and then I'll go on and on.
Yeah.
On.
Yeah.
But they're usually very short.
That's cool.
Very, very specific. And and as I say, if I've never actually met them, it's my way to say, to introduce myself.
That's great. And I was thinking of that for those of you who've been through our program and have been on these calls, just harkening back to the idea of the Now 25, which is the shared power map circle, growing connections. And Paul, you participated a long time ago. I don't know if we were even calling it the Now 25 then.
I don't think so.
but the idea that you have dedicated, like 25 people at a time that you're actually trying to grow relationship with, that you could be saying, oh, this person is also on this list. Now I'm going to think about, like, not just introducing myself, but I'm going to provoke a question. I'm going to ask a question in this video as part of my gratitude that will elicit some sort of response, not so much the
That's
like
a great idea.
one-upmanship of the video,
Right. No,
although I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love that throwdown challenge of like, okay, can you make a better video? Like that might get some people to do some stuff, but to actually in gratitude, not just on video, but in written gratitude, to like even have a call to action in your gratitude, which is like, I hope you'll, you know, tell me what's going on with you, or how can we, you know, like, I'm so grateful, Paul, for the work that you do, the like energy that you provide in the world. I might be saying to you, like, now how can we work together? Because I'm trying to remove barriers for fearless communication. So, you know, that type of thing. And it's tricky. You don't want to be like marketing in a gratitude, but gratitude, like the other things that we've been talking about on this call, is also a demonstration of hope and engagement. Like asking is a demonstration of hope. I love that.
Nice. I just, I do just want to say that I have to go on to a Theater Alliance meeting, so I'm going to be leaving a little bit early at quarter of or so.
Okay, well, say
I
hi to
didn't want to
everybody
just
at
bug
the
out.
Theater Alliance.
I will.
Thank
I
you.
will. Sure.
Other things that people want to say about gratitude? Kat?
I do. Okay.
Oh, Shavana?
Yeah, I can wait if Kat is going.
Kat, did you want to go? Oh,
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
All right, Shavana, you want to go?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we physically haven't put anything in the mailbox, but it's ironic that with our Sip Black campaign that we run on a daily basis, 337, we are starting to ask for feedback so that it's not a campaign that we necessarily run, but there may be some of our followers or watchers who want to nominate someone who is special to them, especially during times like this. So I think that's an offer of gratitude, just to let them know, hey, you know, we're listening, and your feedback is important to us. It's actually on our Instagram.
It's on Instagram.
And Facebook.
Yeah.
It's on both, but our
I want to show
campaign,
that so people know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Let's go to Sip Culture.
Especially during a time like this. So like we post every day for our Sip Black campaign, but we're going to offer it to our followers. If there's someone that they would like to nominate, then we're going to run their information as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. It doesn't necessarily, have to be a physical thank you, especially with it being technology-wise, now that's available. And if you're able to, you can follow us on Instagram at Sip Culture.
Great. Yeah, and inviting people to trust. I mean, I think also what you're doing is you're trusting people to bring their, what they think. That's a great way to express gratitude. Like just, just expressing trust.
I agree.
Can I say I follow this campaign, and it is one of my favorite parts of my day. They do it so well. It's very clearly written. It's consistent in the consistency of its branding, and it's so positive, and it's just exactly what I need and what I think we need. I really genuinely appreciate your leadership on it.
Yay, that's great.
Thank you.
All right, Kat, did you want to go next, and then Priscilla? Oh, you're muted.
Well, yeah, I'm going to the little icon at my picture to make myself unmuted. I think all of these ideas are really great. I'm still putting some things together myself, so I'm not at the place yet where I'm ready to express gratitude in this way, but I love these ideas, and I certainly will keep them in mind.
Great. Priscilla?
one, mine's slightly different. I don't know how it fits exactly. Well, we had the Governor's Awards in Arts Education on the 26th, and this year we encouraged sponsors, artists, organizations, parents, everyone, because we couldn't be there in person, to send like messages and like congratulations, and in that messaging was our gratitude to them for pursuing the arts, for pursuing their passions, and messages to continue to pursue the arts and the benefits to pursuing the arts and arts education, and encouraging them to share their message. So we were able to incorporate a lot of those congratulatory messages up into the actual virtual ceremony this year. And it was pretty inspiring to have those messages. And we made a whole YouTube playlist where, you know, friends, family, sponsoring organizations took moments just to congratulate them on the work they had done and encourage their continued participation, and our gratitude to them for pursuing the arts. I think that kind of goes with it a little
It does. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think it's like a threefer. Like you're acknowledging the people that you invited to make those videos as being valuable. Like that in and of itself is a gratitude. And then they're acknowledging the others, and then you're putting it out there to like really celebrate. And I think celebration and gratitude are really closely aligned. And I think one of the things I noticed the most about the Governor's Awards in this format is that celebrations can get very like highly produced and like feel artificial, and that, you know, the challenge of not being in person at the Governor's Award this year that had to have been like huge. And so the one positive thing I think that this whole like Zoom culture is doing is it's much more intimate. Like I was reading an article about the Hamilton movie that just came out last week, and the fact that you could be like this close to the performers. It's and even not that close, but almost as if you're in a front row seat. That is really different than the way we've been experiencing theater, because we are often, there's so many of us and we can't be that close, or we're looking at it through a box that's like far away. So I think that the Governor's Award, I think those testimonials were really awesome to like bring a real human connection, which is really what I think gratitude is. Did anybody watch Ringo Starr's 80th birthday celebration yesterday? You should watch it. It's so great. It's on YouTube, and there's a bunch of those, like, you know, people just saying happy birthday to him and thanking him. And they're really like, just like close up, like, you know, like really famous people just like on their iPhone, like happy birthday. It just felt really great.
On a side note, we did that for my daughter's 30th birthday, because she is all the way in California and couldn't come home because of the lockdown. And so my other daughter collated this like half an hour long video of her friends. And, you know, it was really amazing how she just came back and said, I feel so loved. And she was just crying. It was like this great like reveal. It was really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me think about what you just did, Priscilla, with the Arts Ed Award, that like once you kind of pull a bunch of people together, it really becomes very powerful.
Yeah. So how do people navigate expressing gratitude for the people that you might not be thinking to express gratitude to, or that might be difficult but are important parts of your universe? Because I find that like putting myself in a place of expressing gratitude for every single like person in the scenario that might be making it hard for me even makes me think of them differently. And like sometimes that's done on a formal level, but I'm wondering how we can open that up a little bit more to be done in a more like genuine, like personal level. Does anybody have experience like really having to like unpack and express gratitude for someone that has been maybe a frenemy or part of your operation that has not made it easy? And maybe that's a challenge that we could all do.
I think it's a part of the integrative thinking that sometimes the people that give you the pushback or that question, like you come in with a great idea and you know it might be a little complicated, those are the people who actually make you think things through. So I think that there's a way in which it can be quite positive if we're not just so fixated that our idea is the best idea. That maybe they're like just be a little more inclusive about the workflow. I think that in that way we can be a lot more grateful and realize the value that everybody brings to the table. That it's precisely because we're working as collaboratives in organizations that we're going to be. It's like the group project, right? It's not just your project, and and that we all kind of need one another in order to move forward.
Yeah, and I find for myself trying to identify what the thing is that I'm really grateful for that relates to them sometimes takes some work. like you know, because I can be like, wow, that's great, they push me to think, and it's like, wait, what is it that actually makes them tick? And you know, like that can be hard.
I think we're in a really hard moment of just, you know, culturally of some of the really ugly truths that have been revealed, right? Like it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I think that this time has demonstrated, to me anyway, how we can have and show gratitude for our country while at the same time checking our country. I think that you know, often we feel like everything has to, it's either or, it's mutually exclusive, and it's not. It's muddy and it's dirty and it's messy, but at the same time there's good that has come out of it. And I think that that's what all of this is showing me. And I've heard other people say that that while, our history would suggest, our present would suggest that, there's still so much work to be done, that there are enough people that still have hope, that we can realize what the true intent of the experiment was. And I find that hope lately more and more in this new, millennial Gen Z generation who is kick-ass and is not taking any prisoners, and I find hope in them because they are calling stuff out. They are calling folks out, and they're unapologetic about it. And so I find hope in that, because we have people that are courageous enough to do that. I had to tell one of my best friend's daughters, like, who came right out and called out privilege and said, I recognize that's what I've celebrated all these years. But for an 18, 19-year-old, that's a courageous move.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe. I think it's, it's both. It's and all that stuff in between until we get where we're hoping we will ultimately land.
For me, it's very easy to express gratitude to people I have worked with or I work with, whether it's there have been no good moment or a lot of good moment. Even the no good moment are a way to express maybe something you learn through. So that's what I can use, and it can be just a little detail, a moment that I will remember even years ago. It's much more difficult with when it's people I don't know through work.
Right. And that can be a challenge for like your like expressing gratitude for a base of people that may be like supporters or on your email list or something like that. And I love the idea of the video, or I love the idea of like picking people that you don't know to try to be like, well, how would I express gratitude to this person? I have no idea what they do. I don't know anything about them. Like, we have to do something together before we can, like you were saying, Kat, like I have to be at a place where I can even like process my thing before I'm expressing gratitude for my thing.
I feel that I constantly want to thank people and I just don't always get to it. Like, it's on my mind. I'm like, I need to call that person. I need to write to that person. But I get so sidetracked that it's hard. You know, I think that that's something that's really important. And in this moment where we've had a little bit more time, but no, at the same time, right? Like at the end of the day, when you've been on the phone or on Zoom all day,
the energy is not more. There's not more energy just because there's less.
Right. One thing that I wanted to bring up about that I think is functionally complicated right now is when we don't have the people, like normally, and at least Peters Valley's flow, we've got people on campus, we can engage them, we can thank them. We do, you know, it's like, oh, we're going to see them. They're going to be here. I'm going to thank them personally. I'm going to talk to them about this or that. I'm going to advocate for membership in our organization. You know, we were just talking about like, wow, how do we do a membership drive now? Like, what do we do to like communicate like our gratitude for the people that sort of have been in our circle and like support us, that benefit from our programs also, you know, that whole idea of we're grateful for membership, but hopefully we, you know, they're grateful for being members. Like hopefully they're getting something out of it, you know? And
just that we're not physically together and don't have as many times to overlap makes it harder to just like weave it into.
Right. Like I think about like a theater, right? Like how's a theater that's like about the audience and they're not there? I mean, in some ways we're like that too, because, you know, we don't have the interaction. And so I was thinking about, I was actually, you know, kind of taking notes this morning before we even got on this call about like, right, and how do we thank people?
Yeah, I find that it's a practice, you know, like it can be a practice. So it's even like, Shannon, you said you didn't do it all on a Sunday like you did before. Like, what was your revised version of that? How did you find time to like keep doing that?
Well, it was interesting because so I'd sent Wendy Schenefeld some basil seeds before, and I didn't have any more basil seeds. So I actually went and made her homemade granola. So she got a much better deal out of it. So I really couldn't, I just couldn't do it all at the same time. I didn't have a Sunday afternoon. I just had to fit the notes in here and there. And I think it's just kind of that you can't go home again. I couldn't recapture that feeling of having that rainy Sunday afternoon of just luxuriously writing anymore. But it was okay, you know. It was interesting though, because I did find myself trying to write some of the same stories into the letters, but a month had gone by, so they didn't feel the same.
They didn't sound right. Yeah. Interesting.
I was thinking a little bit about how stories cost nothing, and sometimes stories are what I have to give because that's my stock and trade. So there was a time when I had done a crowdfunding campaign to raise money, and so that was what I did. Was I went on and made a playlist of stories to thank people, and that was people seemed to like that. That was fun.
Yeah, that's like the old mixtape.
Yes, yeah, it was like a mixtape. Ooh, I'm gonna think about that.
I love making mixtapes.
It's very mixtape.
When you like, also when you make mixtapes specifically for people, you know, when you've got like, okay, I'm going to put together a playlist that's these, and then it's just like, what is that ingredient? Well, it's you pulling out something about them that they don't think that you noticed.
Yeah. One time for my birthday, I called it the birthday party a mixtape, and I asked everybody to bring a song, send a song that they wanted to hear in the night. So they made the soundtrack of the evening.
Yeah,
I think that goes back to a person's YouTube playlist. Like you could invite people to help build a song catalog that then would become a part of the thank you gift.
Yeah, and even by doing that, like Gillian, you were talking about, it's harder to thank people who you haven't done something with. Like you have large, sometimes complex long-term projects, and also little things that can be done, right? So just inviting people, like every single moment that you're doing something with somebody is knowing you, like you bring your artistic like work to almost everything that you're doing. So it could be little things too. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I think we've seen a lot of variety of things. I think there's some little things that go a long way also. Like Shabana, I'm glad that you brought up the Instagram and inviting people into that. Even doing on social media, even doing the hat tip. I don't know if people are all familiar with that, but if you repost something that you got from somewhere, if you put H/T and then you tag them, it's saying thank you. It's a hat tip, like thank you for turning me onto this idea. I'm going to share it out, but I'm not going to pretend that I'm the one that like originally did it. And that's like a little tiny way to like keep those connections going. And I think in particular for specific groups like Peters Valley in particular, I think like hat tipping artists, not just linking to artists, but like reposting not just their work, but reposting something else that they posted, like a thought piece. Like Dominique Ellis always has some sort of like thought piece about the WPA or whatever. And so reposting their stuff with a hat tip to them
Can you explain that again? Because I thought the whole point of social media was to share stuff. So now you have to acknowledge where you're sharing it from.
No, you don't have to.
No, but I'm just as a best practice. This is an awareness thing.
Yeah.
But, so what do you do?
So if you posted an article, and I was like, oh, I love this article, and I'm going to post it on Social Impact Studios Facebook page, not on my own necessarily. I might just be like, oh, I'm going to share this, but I'm going to like take this to another level where I'm like, it's curated content, not just like, ooh, look at this, ooh, look at this, ooh, look at this. It's more like, whoa, look at this. And if I'm not the instigator of that, if I didn't find that article, if I didn't like create that meme, whatever, then all I got to do, the whole point is to share and to also like interconnect, not just acknowledging. I mean, part of it is the hat tip is the acknowledgement, but you're also like, by tagging you, I'm also creating a live link to you as an artist.
Okay.
So the point of the bigger point is the @ tag, which
so
is
it's an @ tag, not a hat tag. No.
It's hat tip is really just, I'm going to put it in here. It's really just writing H/T before anything. And that is a signal that you're like saying, this came from someone else. It's not an actual technological thing that you're doing.
Okay.
But
And
then
then,
an at tag is like, if I don't know what your handle is on social media, but then I put at Kristen Muller and it makes a live link.
okay. So it's not just that I would tag NS Carter, but I would tag your handle or Social Impact Studios or SIP Culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, okay, so if SIP Culture has its own thing, like it's an organization on Instagram, but also has the hashtag, you call out SIP Culture, not the hashtag SIP.
Oh, you could do both.
Okay.
I mean, I think that the hashtag in this case, and Shavonna, correct me if I'm wrong, is probably, are you doing SIP Black is the hashtag?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like if I wanted to share the Sidney Poitier post, for example,
337.
would I say H/T hashtag SIP Black 337, or would I say H/T at SIP Culture?
Yeah. So this instance is like very clearly presented by another organization.
Right.
So in this instance, I do not recommend a hat tip.
Okay.
In this instance, you're just further amplifying by sharing this out.
Okay.
And because it came from this organization, it will already have the at tagging going on.
Got it.
But I want to show you an example of a hat tip. Okay, so hat tip, Anne-Marie Miller. So Anne-Marie, did you guys see this?
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
If you have not seen this video, I might take, it's only a minute. I might show it before we go because this is great. But Anne-Marie posted this.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned about it because I saw it posted by Anne-Marie. So then I wanted to share it on Social Impact Studios Facebook page as a curated like bit of content because I'm representing my organization, not just me like, ooh, isn't this cool? I'm saying like, look at this. So I hat tipped. Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
I did a hat tip, which is really not a link or anything else. It's just like a, thank you, Anne-Marie Miller. So I linked by doing an at tag to her personally. And by doing that, she's also going to get a notification that I did that. So she's going to know that I thanked her because I at tagged her. And then she even was forwarding someone else's thing. Like she forwarded this person's post, which is already in the post. Like I don't need to at tag them. She didn't need to at tag them because it's already in the post. What I'm doing here is like thanking people for furthering the content development. Does that make more sense?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna play this because I think we need to see it.
You need to put the volume on?
Are you able to put the volume on? Just sound.
Oh, you're not hearing it?
No.
Okay. Well, maybe I can't do that.
That's
Why can't
weird.
you do that? Yeah, you should be able to hear it. I wonder if it, oh, I know why, because I have my headphones in. Okay. Let's see if this works.
I was saying, how many of you said that? How many times can I say that artists are the most important? Because if the people are saying they are not important, then they are only not important because everyone is artist. And if they see a program, that's art. And they see a picture, that's art. And they watch something comedy, that's art. Everything is art. Everything in this world is art. and if humans are not important, then animals are not important, and then the whole world will not be anything. So the world will not have any life without artists. So artists is the most important, and they are super wrong. Wow.
Who is wrong? Who is wrong?
The people who said artists are not important. I was saying how many.
So I don't know if you could hear all that, but if you couldn't, just go on Social Mac Studios Facebook page and listen to him talking about how the artists are the most important, and anybody who says that is just wrong. Who says they aren't is wrong. All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour, and I'm so grateful that we could end it with some joy and the next generation who knows what's up. So thank you so much. I wanted to let you all know that we are doing, until further notice, I'm going to keep doing a Thursday afternoon anti-racism communication and action meeting as well. And this week we have a special guest, Crystal Sage, who has a White Ally Bootcamp program where she is really helping people like ask those questions that they don't want to ask, they're not sure how to deal with. So she's going to be joining us tomorrow to talk through like some of the things she's hearing that are common things that folks are bringing, white allies are bringing to her in a really generous conversation that she's having with people. So, all righty. Well, it was great to see everybody, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.